Welcome to the 2021 Golf Summer Series race number 20. Tonight, we're here at the Darlington Raceway for the summer's longest race, the Southern 500. With only 4 races left in the season, we come to this historic racetrack for a final crown jewel of the season. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Josh, your commentator for tonight's race, and I hope everyone is having a happy Labor Day and Throwback week thus far. But here at the Lady in Black, we have a sellout crowd on hand, ready for the longest and perhaps one of the most important races of the year. One thing to definitely know about this race is tires. And without a doubt, this is one of the most abrasive surfaces on the schedule. And because of that, pit stops will be extremely important, as it could potentially decide who's going to walk away with the win and ultimately the championship in just a few short weeks. Speaking of the championship, the current top 2 points both start inside the top 10. Starting with points leader, Keisha Richardson. The 24 team is coming off the 3rd place finish at Orlando a few weeks ago, but despite that, is still looking for the first win of the season, which could potentially be important down the line. However, the driver behind him in points has plenty of crown jewel wins, and is none other than the 3 of Hoodlum. The 3 team came to this race only 9 points back from the 24, and with Hoodlum being the defending winner of this race, he's not only a favorite to win here tonight, but also a favorite for the championship. And lastly is a driver who's not in the championship hunt, but is still trying to achieve something of his own, and it's pole sitter Caleb Rose in the 95. Rose is currently on a hot streak here in the summer series, as he's finished in the top 10 in the last 3 races, and is looking to become the 3rd railfan driver to win this year. Who's going to win the summer's longest race? And who's going to be the points leader by the end of tonight's 85-lap event? All these stories and more will be answered as we're going to take a look at our starting lineup and pre-race ceremonies. So on the pole, as I mentioned, is the 95 of Caleb Rose, and next to him the 60 of Owen Miles. Row 2, Kyle Salmon and Dana Matteillo. Row 3, Bradley Reim and Herbert Solomon. Row 4, points leader Keisha Richardson, and next to him his teammate and the winner from a couple weeks ago at Orlando, Random J. Row 5, defending Southern 500 winner Hoodlum, and next to him Rain Vela. Row 6, Ross McTrin and Nick Sant. Row 7, Trey Smith and David Johnson. Row 8, Jordan Stout and Kellen Baker finished 2nd at this race last year. Row 9, Dan McTrain and winner from the last crown jewel race at Bristol, Johnny Hernandez. Row 10 is Movement and Ryan Wilson. Row 11, Joe T and RC Gamer. Row 12, John McFadden and Eddie Robertson. Row 13, Brendan Carruthers and Nelson Reeves. Row 14, Dominic Payment and Lipsy. Row 15, Jordan Forbes and Brendan Beal. Row 16, Matthew Burnett and Nunnigan Scott. Row 17, Devin Payment and Matthew Hill. And starting last in row 18 is Jason Albert in the 80. And now it's time for a pre-race ceremony starting with our national anthem. And now, it's time for the most famous words in motorsports here in the place too tough to tame.
Drivers, start your engines.
Let's take a look at the track info here for tonight's race. So going to do 85 laps on this 1.3 mile long egg-shaped oval with 24 degrees of banking in the turns. And as for the weather here tonight, Darlington, 70 degrees Fahrenheit with 4 miles per hour towards the southwest. And of course, the big headline here in tonight's race are all these beautiful throwback paint schemes. And to pick your favorite, be sure to scan the QR code on the screen or by clicking the Google form link down below, as the deadline will be September 10th, this Friday, so be sure to vote. And speaking of throwbacks, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of our painters for making this possible and all the drivers for requesting what schemes they want to run here in tonight's race. But without further ado, 35 drivers and teams already had a chance of history here in the Lady in Black and the place too tough to tame. The sellout car is on their feet, pace car down pit road. And here we go, the 2021 Southern 500's underway. And a great start for Caleb Rose on the inside into turn number 1 as we pull away from both Owen Miles and Kyle Salmon as they're both side by side for second. Down the Boeing back, so it looks like Salmon has the advantage over Owen Miles as we're tucking behind Rose into turn number 3. Miles to the high side of the track into turn number 4 as now Salmon looks to the inside of Rose for the lead. Down the front stretch, side by side for the lead coming to lap number 2. Looks like Rose had the advantage over Salmon, but Salmon still fighting on the inside into turn number 1. Salmon with the advantage over Rose as he nearly hits the wall into turn number 2. And yeah, turn 2 in particular at this place is really challenging. Probably the hardest part of this racetrack, as you can slam into the wall and or get really loose, which could lead to a spin. Meanwhile, into turn number 3, the top 3 of Salmon, Rose, and Miles actually some decent distance over the rest of the field. As now Matteillo and someone try getting on the outside into turn number 4. As Reim looks to defend his position, is now Rose is side by side of Salmon for the lead. Side by side into turns 1 and 2, Rose for a huge one on the inside, as it looks like he has the advantage over Salmon into turn number 2, but will he clear him? Looks like off of 2, Salmon looks like he got a great run on the outside, as he's still side by side with the 95 into turn number 3. Into turn 4, Salmon still the advantage on the outside, but Rose is still committed to the inside as they're still side by side neck and neck coming to lap number 4. Looks like down the straightaway once again into turn number 1, Salmon for another great run. Rose going back on the inside as Miles is almost in the wall into turn number 1. He hits the wall into turn number 2. Hopefully this one causes a wreck as he makes it 3 wide. Everybody ducking down on the inside to avoid him, including his teammate Herbert Solomon in the 67. And it looks like Miles going to really show up that outside lane, led by the 53 of Random J and the 8 of Reim Vela. Everybody on the inside is going to work a pass by these guys on the outside. Looks like Random into turn 4 now is going to make a 3 wide of Miles and Dan McTrain. Will he make this stick? Somehow he does. It's on Miles and McTrain nearly make contact there. Random was in the top 10 before all that happened, but is now down to 11th. Meanwhile, back to the front, down the back straightaway. Salmon still leads, but Rose is right on the back bumper with that 36 into turn number 3. Will Rose make a move here? Looks like he will. Is into turn number 4. He looks at the inside of Salmon once again. Side by side, neck and neck, coming to lap number 6 to 85. Salmon gets another great run on the outside in the straightaway, but into turn number 1, Caleb Rose with the advantage of the 36 once again. This time we'll make it stick as Salmon's nearly up in the wall. And off with 2 once again. Salmon gets another great run. And down the back straightaway and into turn number 3, we have the advantage of Caleb Rose, but Rose still finding back on the inside. Here comes the 40 of Bradley Reim for 14 to Dan Matteillo. Bradley's trying to get his third win of the season while Matteillo's trying to get his first. As Rose and Salmon once again side by side coming to lap number 7. Keyshawn Harrison to 24 and Herbert Solomon to 67 also up there in the mix. As Rose looks like he has the advantage in turn number 1, with Brad Reim now in the picture in 3rd trying to challenge these 2. Tail to 14 now down to 4th as Bradley's right behind his teammate of Rose. As he goes into turn number 3, will he help his teammate out or will he help Salmon out? Through turn number 4 once again, Salmon and Rose still side by side. Ross will chain in 35 also in the pictures. Now Matteillo side by side with Brad Reim once again. And that's going to force Reim up into the outside as Matteillo will clear Brad Reim into turn number 2. As last year's championship runner-up is up to 3rd. And we'll check down the back shoulder. Rose will tuck in behind Salmon as they head into turn number 3 once again. As it looks like Brad Reim is back up to 3rd, while Matteillo is side by side with Herbert Solomon, the 67 for 4th. Also behind him, 2 points, Sweeter Keyshawn Harrison, the 24, is side by side with the 35 of McTrain. As they go into turn number 1 once again, now Matteillo has the run on the inside, side by side with Brad Reim into turn number 2. Will they make it stick coming down the back straight away? As all Matteillo nearly came up on Sullivan into turn number 3 there. That was after a really close call for both the 14 and 67. As now Rose is side by side once again for the lead. These two have been absolutely at it for the lead so far in this race. And it certainly won't be the last, as now Rose has the advantage on the inside once again into turns 1 and 2. Will we clear the 36 this time around? Looks like once again, Salmon gets another great run off turn number 2. Let's run with the 40 Bradley Reim. He's also catching up in this mix. Bradley now on the outside into turn number 3. He's now side by side with his teammate. So Rose is once again side by side with Salmon. Coming to lap number 11 is now Herbert Soman's up to 4 from the 67. As Rose and Salmon are still side by side into turn number 1. Rose once again on the inside with the advantage into turn number 2. But once again, Salmon for another good run on the outside as to actually pull away a little bit from Caleb Rose. As now Rose has a handful of his teammate Bradley Reim. Into turns 3 and 4, the two Railfan drivers are side by side for second. With Rose on the inside once again is actually getting a huge run into turn number 4 as he's side by side once again with Kyle Salmon. As we come to only lap number 11 of 85. Ross would train up to 5th in that 35. As in the turn number 1 once again, Rose and Salmon are still side by side for this lead. Rose still committing on the inside while Salmon is still committing on that outside. And as we've seen so far here tonight, the outside is the best place to be, especially off these turns. And I guess going into turn number 3, everybody got the memos. Bradley Reim, Herbert Solomon, and now Hold'em in the 3 car. Move up way behind the racetrack in order to get a good run off these turns. And of course, as I mentioned on top of the show, Hold'em and Keisha Arntzen are 2nd and 1st in points respectively. And this race is definitely going to play a big factor in the championship at Martinsville in just a few short weeks. Meanwhile, once again, Rose and Salmon are still side by side for the lead. They've been basically battling for these past 13 laps. Definitely begs the question if they're going to use up all their tires before our first round of pit stops, as this track is definitely one of the most abrasive surfaces on the Summer Series schedule. Coming to lap number 14 and 95 and 36 are still side by side, as Salmon's won almost every single lap here thus far. But Rose once again for a great run into turn number 1 on the inside. Salmon nearly got up in the wall there into turn number 2. But will Salmon get another good run off 2 here? Almost dead heat off 2, but into turn number 3, Salmon once again with the advantage over Caleb Rose. As he tries to clear the 95, Bradley Reim way up behind the racetrack, nearly came up on Ross McTrain making contact with that 35. As Rose is still fighting for that lead coming to lap number 15. Reim in the 40 still side by side for Ross McTrain. As he tries to clear him into turn number 1, check he will do just that. As Keisha Arntzen in the 24 is also on that outside. As here comes Rose once again off turn number 2. It looks like Salmon gets another great run off 2, and this time he's going to clear the 95 at Rose, as the top 5 are all in a single file line. And as I say that, Keisha Arntzen up behind the track once again, and he's now side by side with Herbert Solomon for the 5th position. Reim and Rose are once again side by side, this time Rose on the outside, with Bradley Reim's on the inside. Just comes to 35 Ross McTrain, also for a great run into turn number 1, as him and everyone else behind is all trying to catch up to this top 3. Down the back shoulder, Rose still holds on to 2nd, as now Bradley Reim is side by side with Ross McTrain into turn number 3. Keisha Arntzen also trying to peek his nose there in the middle until he moves back up to the outside. That's going to open the door to the 6-7 of Herbert Solomon. So 3 wide, Danny McTrain in the middle, as Random J's once again way up behind the racetrack. We already saw Random do this once before here tonight. It's definitely a very risky move for the driver that came this race 5th in points. Of course, fresh off his Orlando win just a few weeks ago. Joining us down the 11, also inside this picture, is also desperate for a good result. Matthew Hone, the 9, all the way back in the pack. Just slammed the wall into turn number 2 there. Looks like he's able to keep it straight, as he's currently side by side of the 80 car, Jason Albert, who of course rolled off pit road last. Meanwhile, back up front here in lap number 18, Ross McTrain up to 3rd in that 35, as Salmon and Rose are still the top 2. Looks like not too far behind, Keisha Arntzen is going to clear Random J for 5th as he goes into turn number 3. Random still finding back on the outside as they head into turn number 4. He's going to get a run off the corner here. And it looks like he does, as the 2 teammates and championship contenders are still side by side for 5th. And there's Jordan down the 11, not too far behind his teammates, as he just got passed by Herbert Solomon in the 67. As Random and Richardson is still side by side. Looks like down the back shoulder, Random J is going to clear Keisha Arntzen to hold on to 6. Jordan Stoughton up to 7 and 11 cars. He looks to the outside of Keisha Arntzen in turns 3 and 4. Trying to get off his team member Richardson still prevails. On an inside lanes. Now Stout goes to the inside lane on his teammate. Meanwhile, back with the 4th. Here comes Reim now side by side for Oxford Train for 3rd. Trying to get that spot back. As that 35's been in this position for quite a few laps now. Far on the wall into turn number 2 is Keith Harrington to 24. Point leader off the wall. He hits the wall again off turn number 2. As your point leader is going to lose a lot of ground to this top 6. As into turn number 3 comes Jordan Stout side by side with the 24. And even though these 3 Atlanta Indy drivers in the top 10, Random J, Jordan Stout, and Keith Harrington, even though their teammates are all contending for this championship, and each one of them have not spared each other any expense. Meanwhile, battle for 5th now between Dan Matteillo and Ross McTrain. As off for turn number 2, Dan Matteillo took a clear to 35 with ease. As McTrain went from 3rd to 5th in just a span of a few short laps. And here we go, battle for Rudy once again between Caleb Rose and Kyle Stallman off turn number 4. Once again, Rose on the inside while Stallman stays committed to the outside. Coming to lap number 22 of 85. As going into turn number 1, Kyle Stallman this time is going to clear to 95. And even though it's still relatively early here in the Southern 500, right now the 36 and the 95 are the 2 cars to beat. But now down the back shoulder comes the 40 Brad Reim once again on the back line for his teammate as he looks to the inside into turn number 3. As he also wants to make himself known not only in this race but in this championship fight. As he actually came this race 4th in points, only 13 back from Keith Harrington, who's still in 7th. And so far, Richard's doing a good job of holding off that 3-car hoodlum as the defending Southern 500 winner is just below the top 10. Oldham also currently side by side with his teammate and father, Johnny Hernandez, who combined have won every single crown jewel other than the Firecracker 400. Meanwhile, back up front, Ross McTrain continues to draw back a rock in the 35 as Random J's right behind the back with that 35. So Brad Reim also tries not to lose ground at 40. Trying to hold off Matteillo once again. You know, Salmon still leads in the 36. That time by the gap between him and Rose was a little over 2 tenths for a second. Just under 3 tenths to be exact. As Rose gets a great run into turn number 3, trying to look to the inside of Salmon once again. Can he make a stick on the inside? Looks like he will. Off turn number 4. Come to lap number 25. And as I mentioned, these two have absolutely gone at it for this lead. Just further proving that these two have the best cars so far here tonight. But of course, one thing, as mentioned, is still early. Anything could happen here. And second, Salmon always seems to get the better of the 95. Now Rose going to lose second to Brad Reim in the 40. As they're clearing for that position until Rose once again on the inside trying to fight back on his teammate to get that spot back. While Matteillo side by side with Random J now for the 5th position. And it looks like Ross McTrain moved back up to 4th. Random J is trying to get inside the top 5. L-Trek through the first set of corners. Matteillo has the advantage on the outside until Random does a great run into turn number 2. Here come the second group of cars led by Keith Harrington, Trey Smith in the 66, Nixon in the 52. Won't go Frameville in the 8 car. In this picture, now Richardson looks to the inside of Random J going into turns 3 and 4. So we got a battle for the lead now. Brad Reim this time side by side with Kyle Salmon. Coming to lap number 27 as they're side by side for the lead into turn number 1. Kyle Salmon will clear Brad Reim, actually pull away from the 40 of Brad Reim. Here comes the other group of cars led by Caleb Rose along with Ross McTrain in the 35. Also back inside this picture is Trey Swift really gets involved in the 66. As he got around Keith Harrington for the 7th position. Richardson falls down to 8th. First comes to 52. Nixon along with the Avery Vale making a 3 wide on the 24 briefly there. Nixon and Rainville are 2 drivers who have not really had the best luck at all throughout most of the season, especially in the past several races or so. And winning the summer's longest race could definitely end one of their seasons on a high note. Battle for 3rd now. Dan Matteillo side by side with Caleb Rose off turn number 2. Matteillo actually has the advantage over Caleb Rose in the 14 car. Matteillo will move up to 3rd here in the Southern 500. Meanwhile, the race for the week continues between Kyle Salmon and Brad Reim. Where Reim just behind Salmon, looks on the inside off to number 4 side by side once again. Coming to lap number 29 once again, another Railfan Motorsport driver is going to challenge Salmon for the lead as they go into turn number 1. What's going to happen here as Rose is now side by side for Ross McTrain for the 4th position. And back up front, Salmon with the advantage on the outside, still side by side. Looks like off 2 once again. Kyle Salmon's going to hold on and pull away from Brad Reim. Here comes the 14 and Matteillo trying to challenge Brad Reim for the 2nd position. That 14's built really fast these past several laps. Will Matteillo take advantage of that fact as it goes through turns 3 and 4? Reim with the advantage, but Matteillo on the outside that traditionally always gets a good run off these corners And that'll be the case once again. Now Matteillo's the advantage over Bradley Reim coming to lap number 30. Bradley now down to 3rd, or Caleb Rose is down to 4th. While Random J's up to 5th. Now Matteillo's right on the back bumper of Kyle Salmon. Matteillo's had an absolutely terrible Summer Series season this year. Came this race 33rd in points. Definitely fitting for that 14 to look like the Matteillo of old here in this throwback race. As he now looks to the inside of Kyle Salmon for the lead off turn number 4. Side by side for the lead, coming to lap number 31 to 85. Salmon has the advantage once again on the outside, going into turn number 1, and will clear Dan Matteillo for the lead. And I guess you can tell now with these drivers sort of single file and spread apart from one another that the tire wear is really starting to kick in. And I wouldn't be surprised if these drivers were to come down pit road in the next 5 to 7 laps or so. Battle for second now between Dan Matteillo and Bradley Reim, as Matteillo looks to hold on to the second place position. But of course, as I mentioned, Bradley Reim is a championship contender, especially if he wants to gain ground in the top 3 of Keith Johnson, Huddle, McKellen, Baker. It looks like through turns 1 and 2, Bradley Reim will clear Dan Matteillo for the second position, as Matteillo falls down to 3rd. On board for the 95 of Rose, as he tries to challenge Dan Matteillo for the 3rd position, going into turn number 3. As up ahead, we've got another battle for the lead between Kyle Salmon and Bradley Reim. So Matteillo and Rose nearly touched off turn number 4. Rose was way up high in the racetrack off 4 there, and nearly made contact with Matteillo towards his right rear tire. And as that happened, Kyle Salmon once again held off Bradley Reim for the lead, where Matteillo is going to hold on to 3rd, as he tries to gain ground in the 36 and 40. Into turns 3 and 4, once again, it comes Reim on the inside, side by side. He's going to move Salmon up high in the racetrack. Now Matteillo side by side with Caleb Rose in the turns 3 and 4. Coming to lap number 33, Salmon still with the lead, and is going to once again pull away from Bradley Reim into turn number 1, as behind him his teammate Caleb Rose will clear Dan Matteillo for the 3rd position. As the 95 once again is going to make it 2 railfan drivers inside this top 3. Into turns 3 and 4 comes Rose, making a side by side for 2nd. It's a random side by side with Matteillo for the 4th position, as he also looks to gain points in that 53 for the championship. Down the front stroke, Reim's going to hold off Rose, as a random is still side by side with Matteillo coming to lap number 34. But as I said, there comes Rose once again, side by side with Bradley Reim into turn number 1. Reim will clear the 95 as random is side by side with Matteillo still into turn number 2, as they're almost neck and neck down the back straightaway. It looks like down the back straightaway, random will clear Matteillo for 4th, as he now tries to go from 3rd on Caleb Rose going into turn number 3. Meanwhile, once again, it's the Salmon Reim top 2, as now Reim looks to the inside of Salmon once again off turn number 4, coming to lap number 35. Salmon still with the advantage into turn number 1, where random is still also side by side with Rose. Looks like Reim has the advantage on the inside. Will he make his stake and clear Kyle Salmon going into turn number 2? It looks like once again Salmon gets another great run off too, as it comes Random J now side by side for a 2nd. That 53's really come to life in these last several laps or so, as here comes Caleb Rose down pit road. And this will kick off our first green flag pit stop cycle of the night, as the 95 is the first down pit road. Currently he's the only driver down pit road, as everybody else will stay on the track. As Random J will move up to 2nd to 53, with Brad Reim falling back down to 3rd. And of course the percussion for these drivers and teams, when will be the perfect time to come in? And as for Salomon, Bradley Reim, and Dan Matteillo, the time is now as they're all coming down pit road. Trey Smith, Keith Sherrington, Hodlum, and Ray Villa, also the drivers down pit road, alongside many others. As we still got cars on the track, led by the 53 of Random J. And of course, at this race last year, when Random was up front in the early parts of the race, he came down pit road much later than the other leaders. And didn't really work well at all for that 53 team last year, but will it work out this year as the 53 is now down pit road. Nick Stamp, Movement, Ross McTrain, Jordan Stout, Dan McTrain, as well as pretty much everyone else who have yet to pit, are all down pit road with the exception of the 55 of Dominic Payment, who is still on the racetrack and will be a leader this time by. And with this being a long race on an abrasive track surface, floor tires and gas are pretty much the only option you can do here. And there's the 70 drivers finishing up the pit stops, rating Carruthers, Trey Smith, Rain Vela, Johnny Hernandez finishing up his pit stop. And behind Devin Payment are the drivers who just now came in, led by Random J. As their cars 3 wide off pit road, John McFadden, Rain Vale, and Keisha Hutchinson, as Vale is basically in an Indy sandwich there. And you see Owen Miles and Evan Payment coming off pit road as these third group cars are just now doing their pit stops. And there's a 55 Payment finally in as the last car to pit here in these first group of green flag cycles. Now check the lead will transfer over to the 95 of Caleb Rills, followed by Kyle Salmon and Bradley Reim. Of course, the question is where is Random and Dominic Payment going to be after these pit stops, as they were some of the last cars to come down pit road. And now it comes to Ford. Brendan Carruthers back down pit road, as we're just now getting reports that there's some sort of mechanical issue on that Ford car. That would be a huge, huge disaster for that team. And honestly, it sums up this Ford Carruthers season very well. Starts off the season very well at Arbor Digital, but after that, everything just goes to crap. As he came to this race 29th in points, he's been a huge, huge disappointment for an early championship favorite this year. Meanwhile, back to the rest of the field where pretty much everyone's done with their pit stops, with Dominic and the 55 now coming out. And if you remember, Dominic was the leader when he came into pit road, as it looks like he's going to be listed below the top 15, so definitely not the best pit road strategy for the 55 here so far. But as for Caleb Rose and the 95 team, their strategy of coming down, being the first ones down pit road, is working out very well thus far, as he has an over 8 tenths of a second advantage over the 36 of Kyle Salmon. Brad Reim is still in third, Trey Smith in the 66 up to fourth, road 53 of Random J round off the top 5. Of course, Rose has looked really fast here so far all night, in his throwback to Casey Kane's 2006 Charlotte Fall win car, when Kane was driving for Everham back in the day. So definitely a good looking throwback for the pole sitter, as they look to get their 4th straight Summer Series top 10. Kyle Salmon in 36 not into throwback, but he's also been really fast here in the night in that 36. And so far it's looking like it's going to be a good points night, as he came in this race 12th in the standings. And in addition, for winning the most laps here tonight, he's been by far the best Baker Racing driver, as his teammates Ryan Wilson and Kellen Baker have been absolute no-shows here so far. Third place is Bradley Reim, and is still back to the Savannah and Atlanta Railway Company livery from 1909, so, which is of course definitely really cool to see some locomotive history being honored here tonight at Darlington. As you got lap traffic of Brendan Carruthers as he holds up the 95 of Rose, and that's going to really help out everyone inside this top 4. Here comes Trey Smith now side by side for third on Reim. In the turn number 3, Rose and Salmon practically stuck, as Reim makes it almost 3 wide going into turn number 4. Off for turn number 4, Rose looked to the inside of Carruthers to clear the 4 car. And track down the front stretch, and in turn number 1 he will, alongside Trey Smith in the 66. But as for Carruthers in his throwback to Casey Kane's first truck win in 2004, is going to hold up the 36 of Salmon as Reim finally gets around him off turn number 2. As Salmon turns Carruthers off turn number 2 down the back straightaway, as Carruthers will save it. Wow, that was a great save for both Salmon and Carruthers, even though for Carruthers his race is pretty much over, as worst case scenario could have caused a massive wreck, correcting multiple leaders. As we got a replay of what happened here, and as Salmon just turned Carruthers off turn number 2, just wanted him to get out of the way, as he lost a lot of ground to the rest of the leaders. And while that commotion happened, Trey Smith in the 66 now up to second. And it's still back to Buddy Baker's 1991 U.S. Marines car that he ran at the Daytona 500. Of course, it's not the first time this year Smith has ran this scheme, as he ran it at our 2 patriotic races at Charlotte and Daytona. Random J is still in 5th, and is still back to Kyle Busch's first Cup win back in 2005, holding on to the 5th position not only in the race but also in the point standings. 6th place is Movement the 5 car, throwing back to Jeff Bonine's 1984 All-Star Racing car for Hendrick, which ended up being Hendrick's first ever win. As there you see the leaders getting around the lap car, Carruthers on the inside, as Carruthers is still on the outside. Definitely a smart move there for that 4 car. Meanwhile, battle for the lead, comes to 66 of Trey Smith side by side with Rose. Coming to lap number 46 to 85, once again side by side for the lead into turn number 1. Trey Smith on the inside with Rose on the outside this time, as it looks like Rose will get a taste of his own medicine as they come off turn number 2. Rose still with the advantage off 2, but Rose's teammate Bradley Reim's going to be right behind the back bumper of Trey Smith into turn number 3. He's going to allow Smith get a huge run into turn number 3, as Reim's round the back bumper of Trey Smith as they make contact, and Smith loose off 4. As they both managed to save it. That was very scary for Rose and Salmon, as Smith is still side by side with Rose into turn number 1. This time, Trey Smith the advantage going into turn number 2, and will clear Rose for the lead. And I gotta say, that was one hell of a drive for Trey Smith. He nearly spun out off turn number 4, but literally less than a lap later, he is out front here in the summer's longest race, coming to lap number 48 at 85. And there you see now Brad Reim trying to get to the inside of Caleb Rose going into turn number 1 in order to get that second place position back. As Rose was round the back bumper with Chase Smith for a move out of the way, much like his teammate tried to do as he come off turn number 2. On board to 95 of Rose once again down the back straightaway and into turn number 3. Smith gets a good run there. Rose went to the outside, killing all of that momentum Rose had. I don't know why he went to the outside there as he come to lap number 49. Rose once again looking to the inside into turn number 1. Side by side once again for the lead through turns 1 and 2. Smith stays committed to the outside and will clear Rose once again down the back straightaway. As you see now Brad Reim looking to the inside once again at Caleb Rose into turn number 3. As you see the rest of the drivers in this top 10 trying to catch up. Taking a look at the fastest laps, Jordan Forbes in 61 has the fastest lap, followed by Lipsy, Movement, Jill T, and Dominic Payment for the top 5 fastest laps. Coming to lap number 50 this time by. Still well past halfway, but still a long way to go here in Darlington. Battle for second continues between Brad Reim and Caleb Rose off turn number 2, as it looks like Rose will defend the second place position. You know, let's take a look at the cars further back in the field. Here's the 7 of Ryan Wilson, all the way back in 34th, and it's still back to Kyle Petty's 1986 Richmond win, which is definitely an iconic win, but for Ryan so far, his performance so far is anything but iconic. You also saw the 90 of Matthew Hill in 33rd, and there's, I mentioned, the fastest driver right now, Jordan Forbes in 61, and it's still back to Greg Biffle's 2007 Nintendo Wii car, and is so far not running well at all here tonight, as he came to race 14th in the point standings. And there's a driver in the top 10 in points, Jason Albert in the 80 car, and it's still back to Jimmy Johnson's 2001 first Cup start, also not running well in that 80 car. And the same could also be said for Joe T in 17, and it's still back to Jeff Gordon's 1999 Busch Series car. So 2 drivers in the top 10 in points going into this race are currently below the top 30. Owen Miles is also back here after starting up front before hitting the wall, who is also throwing back to Greg Biffle, this time to his 2002 first Cup start car in the bright neon yellow Ford. And up ahead, there you see the 9 of Lipsy, as he's once again throwing back to Jeremy Mayfield's 1998 scheme. Kellen Baker throwing back to Michael Waltrip's 1996 Winston win is all the way back in 28th. And reminder, he came to this race tied for second in points. Hope not the advantage due to his 2 wins, but this has been an embarrassing showing so far for the defending series champ and a driver who finished second at this race last year. Next to him is the 88 of Devin Payment, throwing back to Brian Vickers' 2009 Michigan win, which ended up being the first win for the Red Bull Racing team. Herbert Solman is 67, throwing back to Jimmy Johnson's 2012-13 primary car. He was also another driver up in the front before getting shuffled back due to pit stops. And speaking of which, the same could also be said for defending race winner Hodlum and the 14 of Matteillo. These, again, 2 drivers who were up front early in the race that both had really bad pit cycles, and in return lost both these drivers tons of ground on the racetrack. Of course, as I mentioned, Hodlum came to this race second in the point standings, only 9 points back from the 24 of Keisha Archison, as the 3 is going back to James Hunt's 1976 F1 title, which ended up being the storyline for the 2013 movie Rush. The 3 is currently 24th, or 23rd is Dan Matteillo, was as high as second place, and is still back to Darrell Waltrip's 1984 Darlington Spring win. There's RC Gamer to 42 and 22nd, as you cut these drivers just outside the top 15, led by the 13 of Matthew Burnett. And his throwback to Matt Kenseth's 2009 Daytona 500 win, which is one of many Roush Paint schemes being honored here tonight. Meanwhile, as you head back up front, as it looks like the rest of the top 10 have caught up to the top 3, as Nick Sand is throwback to Kevin Harvick's 2006 Hershey's car, they establish out the 53 of Random as they come off turn number 2. Looks like down the back shoulder, Random will clear Nick Sand to hold on to 4th. As Brad Reim to 40 is all the way down to 7th in that car. So Brad are definitely falling off here sort of late in the race. And as you come to lap number 57, the summer's longest race deserves the summer's longest crank it up. Lap number 65 and 85 here in the Southern 500 at Darlington. Only 21 laps to go. And one thing to definitely know about this race, so far, we've had no cautions. It's been green all the way throughout. And the last time that happened in the points-paying Summer Series race was back in Abu Dhabi last year, where all 10 laps of that race went caution-free. And of course, that's not counting the spring shutdown at Auto Club early this year, which ironically was also a very abrasive surface on these Firestone tires. Anyways, Random J up to second to 53. He's that time by almost 9 tenths per second, back into 66. And with the pit and tire window just now opening back up, these next pit stops for these drivers could potentially decide the race. As I said, here come drivers down pit road. Matthew Hill into 90, Owen Miles into 60. RC Gamer into 42, into 7 of Ryan Wilson. These guys are further back in the field as there comes more cars now. Brendan Beal, Dan McTrain, Lipsy the 9 car. Ross McTrain to 35 also down. And it looks like everyone else will stay out for now. But yeah, one thing to know about those first two groups that came in, most were running below the top 15, if not the top 20. And of course, remember early in the race, Caleb Rose was the first driver after our first pit cycles. And for the short term, that worked out very well for the 95 team until lap traffic played a factor, which eventually caused Rose to lose the lead. But the big difference is this time, the difference when Rose came to pit and when Salmon came to pit, who was the leader at the time, was about 1 or 2 laps. But here, it's going to be a difference of at least several laps, as neither Smith or Random have come to pit just yet. Owen Miles now back onto the track. As most of these drivers that came into pit road just now are pretty much done their pit stops and are back on track as they come to lap number 69 to 85. Nice. And they see movement and Hodum doing their pit stops here, trying to follow that same strategy as Smith was really slow going into turn number 1. Here comes Random J for the lead. Random was catching up to Smith during that time, but Random is right there, right behind the back bumper of Trey Smith as they're on board from here. Other cars just now coming on pit road as Random looks to the outside of Trey Smith for the lead. Moving to turns 3 and 4 on the inside as Random gets a great run on the outside off 4. We've seen Random do this multiple times here tonight. He's coming to lap number 70. Random has the advantage over Trey Smith. Will he clear him into turn number 1? Yes, he will. Random J to the lead here at Darlington. Random trying to make it 2 in a row here for London Indy Motorsports, as this could be a perfect opportunity for Random to leapfrog the rest of the other drivers in points. Into turn number 3, looks like Random and Smith will stay out, as well as most of this top 10. But it was definitely a very strange instance for Smith, as he was really slow into turn number 1 last time by, while his own teammate Owen Miles was trying to get around Smith to get his lap back. Next hand still in 3rd, Caleb Rose in 4th, Brad Reim back inside the top 5 and 5th. Rowan Vale in the 8 car is currently in 6th, so far, very solid run there for her. Kyle Salmon is 7th in the 36th, as now here they come down pit road. Trey Smith is in, Caleb Rose, Brad Reim, as well as multiple others as Random J and Nixon are still on the track. Coming to lap number 72 of 85, only 14 laps to go here in the Southern 500. Ada Robinson doing his pit stop that time by. And it looks like unlike Dominic Payment earlier in the race, who of course came in, was the last person to come down pit road during the last cycles, as Reim's going to stay committed to that strategy, as Payment was actually one of the first drivers that came down pit road this time by. And there's some of the other drivers in this top 10. Nelson Reeves, who's Firecracker 400 winner in 3rd, Herbert Solwin in 4th, Joe T in 5th, or Jason Alberts in 6th. That's not going to last for long. It's going to come the rest of the drivers who have yet to pit down pit road. There's some of the other drivers finish up the pit stops. Nedigan Scott, Matthew Burnett, John McFadden, Johnny Hernandez, Jordan Stout. And see now Trey Smith finished with his pit stop, coming out of his pit stall there. Brad Reim also done, Caleb Rose also done. And as much like last time, everyone's going for 4 tires and gas. And there's here Random and Nixon now doing their pit stops. And depending how quick they can get the pit stops done, as well as where the other drivers are at on track, Random and Nixon could cycle back as your leaders. Jason out already done for his pit stop. But here come the drivers who are some of the first cars down pit road. What about RC Gamer, Brendan Beal, Movement, Ross McChin, and Dominic Payment, as they are going to be leaders this time by. So Ross McChin got in the wall off turn number 2. And he's going to go back down to 5th and possibly 6th, with his brother Dan McChin right behind him. And there's here Random just now coming out. He's going to be scored below the top 15. So it's going to be deja vu for the 53 here in the Southern 500, as their pit strategy is not going to work in their favor. Meanwhile, for the lead, we got a battle between RC Gamer and Brendan Beal, as both these drivers are basically having polar opposite seasons. RC came to this race 26 in points, have been struggling all year, where Brendan Beal is a championship contender. Came to this race 8th in points as he looks to the inside of RC for the lead. Side by side, coming to lap number 75, will be 11 laps to go, as it's RC versus Relfan here for the win at the summer's longest race. Beal with the advantage, but will make a stick into turn number 1, looks like he will. Brendan Beal to the lead here in the Southern 500. And as long as this race stays green, this has been an absolutely perfect strategy for that 22 team and their throwback to Carol Yarborough's Hardy's car, as they look to get their second Summer Series win of the season. This time by off turn 4, only 10 laps to go here in the Southern 500. There's movement in third. He was also on front earlier, but he was also able to benefit from pitting early here late in the race. Dominic Payment up to 4, Frost McTrain back inside the top 5 and 5th, with his brother Dan McTrain in 6th. Those Lopsy the 9 car currently in 7th, almost over 3 seconds back from the leader, but still in the top 10 regardless. And there was Holden back inside the top 10 in points. And if Holden maintains that position, this can be a huge point day for that 3, as Richardson's below the top 20. We saw Ryan Wilson in 9th, Matthew Hill in 10th. Chase Smith is in 13th in the 66. He was also, of course, one of the leaders that came in sort of later during the pit cycle. Owen Miles in 15th. You know, it's one of the first drivers that came down pit road. And there's Random J, currently scored in 16th. And it's not just Random. Rose, Bradley, Reim, next day, other drivers who were up towards the front all night really suffered after these past pit stops. But thankfully for Random and Reim in particular, with Richardson and Baker below the top 20, it's still going to be a good point day for them regardless. Meanwhile, Battlefield second in the turns 1 and 2. RC Gamer side by side with Movement. Movement on the inside, RC on the outside, because Movement has the advantage off turn number 2 as RC nearly hits the wall down the back straightaway. Movement clearing into turn number 3 as RC still holds his ground on the outside. Into turn 4, Movement will clear RC for second as now Dominic Payment side by side with the 42. And all the batting behind him is going to do nothing but allow Brendan Beal to pull away from the rest of these drivers, as this lead is now almost up to 0.3 for a second. Down the back straightaway with most of the top 6 now in the single file formation, as Ron pulled the back bumper of Brendan Beal into turns 3 and 4. Movement trying to gain ground on the outside. Here comes Movement, had a great run into turns 3 and 4 that time by. And here he comes on the inside, side by side for the lead, coming to 6 laps to go. Movement on the inside, Brendan Beal still committed to the outside. It's into turn number 1, Brendan Beal has the advantage, but the two are still side by side. Brendan Beal trying to get Relfan Motorsports' first Crown Jewel win, where Movement trying to get his record-breaking 3rd Summer Series win of the season. Looks like this time in turns 3 and 4, Movement once again side by side with RC Gamer for second. Off of turn 4, Movement's going to clear the 42. It's now side by side once again with the 22, coming to 5 laps to go. Movement once again on the inside. Beal still committed to the outside. Side by side into turn number 1. Movement with the advantage over the 22. Question is, will we make it stick as we go into turn number 2, as he's still side by side with the 22. Down the back straightaway, Beal for another good run on the outside. And he'll clear Movement again for the lead, as RC's once again side by side with the 5. But once again, here comes Movement side by side with Beal. Off turn number 4, coming to 4 laps to go here in the Southern 500. Into turn number 1 once again is dead heat for the lead. Side by side between Beal and Movement, as Beal nearly smacks the wall into turn number 2. But despite that, Beal is still holding on the outside, as down the back straightaway will actually clear Movement for the lead once again. But the question is, into turns 3 and 4, will it clear the 5 car for good? Off of 4 once again, Movement for another great run, coming to 3 laps to go. Into turn number 1 once again, side by side, dead heat for the lead. Moving for a great run into turn number 2, as Beal is still on the outside. Will we get another good run here? And it looks like he will. Down the back straightaway, Brendan Beal will clear Movement. But the question is it going to be for good? Dominic Payment now trying to go for 3rd on RC Gamer. 3 wide for 3rd now for Frost McTrain on the inside, as Movement gets another good run off 4. 2 laps to go here in the Southern 500. Movement right on the back bumper of Brendan Beal into turns 1 and 2. 115 car make his move as they come off 2 and down the back straightaway. Down the back straightaway and into turn number 3. Movement still right behind the back bumper to 22. When will he make his moves? What's going to be now? He's side by side once again going into turn number 4. Beal, movement, side by side once again, coming to the white flag here in the Southern 500. Into turn 1 for the final time, but once again, dead heat between the 5 and 22, with movement for the advantage this time going into turn number 2. But once again, off turn number 2, Beal gets another good run on the outside, but movement still coming in the inside, into turn 3 for the final time. Into turn 3 for the final time, movement once again to the inside of Brendan Beal. It's going to be another photo finish to the line as they come off turn 4 for the final time. And here we go, checkered flag, side by side to the line. Brendan Beal wins the Southern 500. Congratulations to Brendan Beal and Railfan Motorsports. They are your winners tonight here at Darlington. This is Brendan Beal's second career Summer Series win of the year as well as the season. In addition, this is Railfan Motorsports' 5th run overall here in the Summer Series, with this one being the 4th of the season. And of course, with many heavy hitters and points finishing below the top 20, this is going to be a huge point night for that 22 team here late in the season. Well, let's take a look at the finishing results and point standings after the night's race. So here we go. Brendan Beal finishes first in the 22. So again, big congratulations there for Brendan Beal for his first Crown Jewel win and the second of the Summer Series season. Movement in the 5 car finishes second. A great run for that 5 team pretty much all throughout. They were basically inside the top 5, top 10 for most of the race, and because of good pit strategy, they were able to stay inside the top 5. Dominic Payman finishes 3rd in the 55. RC Gamer in the 42 finishes 4th. Roberto's Dan and Ross McTrain finished 5th and 6th respectively. So definitely cool to see the McTrain brothers finish basically next to each other, as well as all the RC cars finishing 4th, 5th, and 6th in a row. So good night there for the RC Motorsports camp. Finishing 7th is Wolfsy. The 9 car did not have the best car at all here tonight, but due to the aforementioned pit road strategies for the other Railfan drivers and Carol Bros and Bradley Reim, he and alongside Brendan Beal will make up the top 10 for Railfan Motorsports. Finishing 8th is the 3 car Hoodlum after winning this race last year. So definitely a great rebound for the 3 due to that last pit cycle. It was because that 3 team was not looking good at all towards the middle portion of this race. Finishing 9th is the 66 of Trey Smith after leading 23 laps. And running off the top 10 is the 53 of Random J as the Omi Pontiac inside the top 10. And now for the point standings, only 3 races left to go, and the 3 of Hoodlum is now a new points leader with 599 points, currently 8 points above the 53 of Random J. And of course, with Hoodlum having 2 wins this year, that could definitely come in handy for a tiebreaker situation, as most of these other drivers in the top 10 in points only have 1 if not 0 wins. And speaking of drivers who have multiple wins, one of those other drivers is the 40 of Bradley Reim, as he has 2 wins from Mexico City and Chicagoland, as those wins could also come in handy in the tiebreaker situation. And he has one thing up Hoodlum's sleeve, as he actually has more top 5s compared to the 3 teams. So if these 2 ever were to tie for something like that, Reim would have the advantage over Hoodlum. So that's definitely something that could come in handy down the line. Meanwhile, Keisha Armstrong, after finishing 28th, falls down to 4th, only by 11 points, so it wasn't too far of a dive for the 24 team. Isn't really too far behind from either Hoodlum, Random J, or Bradley Reim, but still far nevertheless. Kellen Baker also drops 3 positions down to 6th by 25, and these past couple races have not been that good at all for the 21 team. And if they want to defend the title, they gotta step up the game in these next 3 races, as these next final 3 tracks we're going to this season are unpredictable to say the least. Meanwhile, Nelson Reed still 7th points by 35. Currently has a 2-point advantage over Joe T in 8th in points over the Rookie of the Year point lead, as the 17 will fall back another 2 positions in points. Jordan Stout up to 9th in points by 51, so despite moving up, still has ways to go if he wants to catch up to the 3 car. And rounding off the top 10 is the 80 car, Jason Albert, bound by 55. He's actually tied with Jordan Forbes in 61 for that position, but due to Albert's 3 top 10s versus Forbes' 2, he has the advantage over the 61. So next up, race number 21 will be our final Super Speed race of the season at the fresher repaved 8-pole Super Speedway for the Papyrus American Heroes 350. Down my channel Sunday night at 7:45 Eastern Standard Time. And of course, with this race being the day after the 20-year anniversary of 9/11, there's going to be some patriotic paint schemes and special tributes before and during the race. But as always, y'all, thank you guys for watching this race. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And have a happy and safe Labor Day.